good meeting.
The lights were on.
We're getting in trouble.
Oh, my God.
Oh, when you were out.
Whatever you do.
I helped you.
What's the name of your name? Brenda.
And my next door neighbor.
They couldn't notice that.
Yeah.
In case the camera goes off. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for coming to the November 3rd Council on Aging Board meeting. Just before we start. Just one announcement to make. Any person who may make a video or audio recording to all open sessions of a meeting or may transmit the meeting through any medium subject to the reasonable requirements of the chair as to the number. Placement and operation of equipment used is not to interfere with the conduct of the meeting. Any person intending to make such recordings shall notify the chair forthwith. All documents referenced are used during the meeting are to be submitted in duplicate to the chair pursuant to the open meeting and public records law. All documents shall become part of the official recording of the meeting. Anybody recording? I guess not, so we're all set with that one. Okay, so again, welcome everybody for the meeting, and we will start with the minutes. I know I read mine at home, but we got music playing for us downstairs. Yeah. Let's see. Can I have a motion to, yeah, may have,
Make a motion on the minutes.
yeah, make a motion on the minutes.
I make a motion to accept minutes.
Okay. Any discussion?
Second.
Oh, second?
I'll second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So voted. Okay, thank you. Next thing on our list is the treasurer's report.
Okay, if you turn to the first page of the report, which is done in color. The general fund is pretty much all in order. The top part of the salary. The only, the bottom part is pretty much regular bills. Is there any question on any of them? Repairs, energy and utility, just basic things, and then that's the second column. First column is your opening balance. Second is your monthly expenditures. Third column is year-to-date, and the last column is your balance. And Mike has nicely provided in the final column the percentage. And we're in good shape so far. If anyone has any questions at all on the general fund, salaries, or items that are expenses, this is the money, of course, I always say it, the money the city gives us, so. No.
One quick comment for the general fund. Repairs and maintenance every year in energy and utilities tends to be wonky, depending on the price of the commodity. For energy, we could see lower than usual or higher than usual. This year we're probably going to be higher than usual. Our repairs and maintenance, we usually do about $17,000, so we spend way more than we have budgeted, but the city's been good at replacing that. We have about a $3,000 repair for one of the fire escapes that's pending. That's going to bite into our repairs and maintenance pretty significantly. I'll keep you informed. We've been putting this repair off for some time. It wasn't really necessary, but we're kind of at critical mass. I don't think we can put it off anymore before it becomes unsafe. So that's going to be a pretty substantial chunk of our repairs and maintenance next month.
So for the remaining balance in the general fund, which is the money from the city, is $149,504.28. And we're pretty much on target except for possibly repairs. Any question at all on general? Okay, down to the gift fund. At the moment, we have a balance of $95,862.80. There was some money put into the fund in October, $1,275. that makes that 95,862.80. Any questions on that? Okay, and on to page 2, which is our, this one that, what, Paul, you ready?
Revolving fund. No, it's picking up.
Yeah, I'm actually in the revolving fund. Okay, on page 2 starts the revolving fund. And as again, the first column in blue there are some purchase orders which are outstanding. Mike puts those in so we know that we sometime are going to get hit with those purchase orders. They are outstanding, and we don't want to overspend. The second column is what was spent in the month of October. We took in some income, $5,796.16, and we spent $3,939.87. It goes over onto page 3 there. And so, excuse me, the balance in that account is very good. To date, we have spent $27,494.39, and we have a balance of $30,554.44.
Remember, that's cash balance, not available balance. I mean, available balance, not cash balance. Our cash balance is gonna be the 86,940, less the 27,494. That's our cash balance, but our available balance is that 86,940 minus the 27,494 in expenses, and less the 28,891.76 in purchase orders. That's 30,554.44, which is available, not encumbered or spent.
Are there any, Paul has a question? Yes, Paul?
I know this answer, but maybe some people in this room don't know, but the income for the revolving fund.
Use the mic, please.
It's bottom of the stem, gray button.
There we go. I know the answer to this. There may be some people here that are not.
Just hold it now.
Just hold it?
Yeah, just hold it.
Okay. About the income for the revolving fund, where is that coming from? Is that from the city government, or is that?
Nope. So, the city, any city government funds are gonna come through the general fund. That's city tax appropriation. The revolving fund is strictly from programs and services, anything program and service related. So that's the price of trips, somebody pays for a trip, we then spend that money to reimburse the trip company. It comes from, any of those big programs. So over the summer, I'm just trying to think, the vast majority of those are gonna be like our holiday program, prepaid income. The 55,000.
So it comes from services? It comes from services.
Services and programs. So somebody takes yoga, there's no real, we don't really charge, we ask for a donation. So $3 per person, if there are 25 people, that's $75, that's income. But then we push that out on the other end for the instructor fees. So you can see like large income, but you also should see corresponding large expenses.
Thank you.
And for those that might not come to like a yoga or a dance program, we have a bucket at the table, and they can put their $3 in. Then the bucket is taken into the office, and two people count the income and sign for it. So that's how all that income comes in too.
On an armored car.
And
Only one person got the tea.
is there any other question on the revolving fund? No? Okay. That's page 2 and 3 are done. Okay, we are on to page 4. Page 4, which is the FY24 state grant. And we are doing our best to get rid of that one, right? Anyway, we did have some expenditures in October. The expenditures were $907.35. Right, and year to date, $4,574.13, and left a balance before salary of $8,665.12, and after salary, $4,628.79. And we're looking to get that moved so we can close off this grant, right?
That would have been closed out at the end of last fiscal year on June 30th, but because we hadn't gotten the approval to increase the amount of expenditures from the revolving fund, we couldn't move those expenses over. That'll easily be gone just from the salary expenses alone this year. But now we have until June 30th, we're not in a rush to close it up, but we're gonna try to get out of there. And by the way, did you notice?
What?
I got it all on one page.
Yes, that's right. That's right. I keep trying to get them to get everything on one page. So at least the FY '24 state grant is on one page, page 4. Any questions on that grant, which we're hopefully soon will be closed out? No questions? Okay, on to, we got FY 25 on one page. Shoot, good work. Okay, so page 5 is the FY '25 state grant, and this is the one, there's a lot of purchase orders in that first column amounting to $35,925.78, but that's a good way to keep track of them all. And then the expenditures in October were not too much, $3,883.09, and we have a balance before salary of $38,024. That would be, as Mike said earlier, our available cash in that grant, $38,024.05. But of course, so he's already accounted for all the purchase orders, so when they're paid. And then, any question at all on the state grant? That column, October 25, you can see what was paid out this month, and you can see there all the instructors that were paid and the salaries they got for the month of October, and the next column is their year-to-date salaries. Is there any question? Paul, what do you want to say? Say it, come on.
Why do I do this to myself?
Oh, we need questions.
On the state grant, okay, we're still got 2024, right? And we still have the 2025, 2026. Does the state look at how much we've used of that grant from the previous years to determine?
No.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Not
Do you
anymore.
understand?
Nope.
Because they're probably saying, wow, we're maybe giving them too much money. I mean,
Well, no.
I don't know. That was just a thought. No?
They used to.
They used to.
And they
Yeah,
used to
long-
have to close,
That's what I thought.
and used to have to close it, but now there's new, since COVID and all, we have nice new rules, much easier.
Good. No.
Yeah, I mean, if there was a problem, Paul, we would have eliminated.
No, I
these grants a
know,
lot earlier.
I know, I'm just saying is that,
Yeah, no, it's
No, it's good, yeah, that's,
Good to ask questions. Anyone else got a question?
thank you, Mike.
Yeah. No?
Paul is the question delegate.
Yeah.
No, I'm done.
Okay, so that's page 5, and we're at page 6 is our FY '26 state grant, and to date, we haven't touched it at all. We have $89,136 in there, so we're good to go. And that is, unless there are questions, any questions at all?
Just one question on that, one, would be different. When I'm looking at that number, that means that doesn't just come in June, so we're only, not even 6 months, we haven't even touched that yet, right?
No,
No?
no, we can carry over. So we are not constricted by the end of the fiscal year on that one.
Maybe I'm not saying, I'm understanding that we're just working on the 25 budget. So with the 26 budget, we haven't touched it, so that means we have to use the other one first.
We can use any pool of money we want. There's no requirement. We like to use the oldest grants and close those out as quick as we can so that we're not carrying over grant money for 10 years. We try to put all of the expenses and classify them all in the oldest or most appropriate account.
So this is gonna be what we work on after we spend all of this.
Correct.
Oh, okay, that's what I'm trying to say. Thank you.
Well, the 26th one is there and we're all, oh,
No, you should be on. Did you hit the button?
Oh.
Yeah, bring it right in.
I have a question. Why don't you use up the, like the 2024 grant before you start losing up?
That's what we said we're doing. Yeah, yeah. We'll go to the oldest, the one that's been out the longest. Expend out of that before we touch any of the newest ones. Yeah, that's our mark. No, that's exactly, it's a good question.
we thought we had the FY '24 closed out, but because of traffic, didn't quite get everything transferred at the last minute, we still had to keep it going. But it's only down to $5,000 in the FY '24. So we're working diligently on the 25.
I have a question. Is the government shutdown affecting us any for what we get?
Yeah, so this will be interesting to answer. The answer is not directly. We don't receive any federal funds to support and run the senior center or any of the senior programs in Gardner. And I say that with that caveat because we're not just about our senior center. However, we receive state funding, and the city receives state funding, and the state receives federal funding for other things. And so I just have you imagine, for example, when the Commonwealth of Massachusetts is faced with the prospect of having to pay for SNAP or HIP benefits, right? They're gonna maybe somehow try to support the folks that had that federally funded program. That money's gonna come from somewhere. And so they're gonna look at, whether it's city or state aid. And I'm not suggesting in a million years that the legislature is considering cutting state aid. I'm not saying that, but just practically speaking, as a matter of function, they're gonna look at, okay, we have X amount of dollars, we have X amount of expenses. If expenses exceed the income or revenue, they're gonna cut someplace. So could the senior center be affected? Sure. Could veterans programs? Sure. Could the road repair be affected? Sure. With what's happening at the federal level, federal shutdown, or the elimination of funding for particular programs. Faced with the prospects of hundreds of millions of dollars of money being cut from education, which includes supporting the Commonwealth of Massachusetts New Building School Fund, right? Some of that money comes from the feds. It's a really good program, and it encourages local communities, cities, and towns to build new infrastructure for schools. I am certain that the legislature has an appetite to keep that program going, for example, even after the cuts from the federal government. That money's got to come from somewhere. So are we imminently at risk? No. Could we be at risk? Sure, absolutely. And so we work really hard. The money we have now, though, we have. This is not going anywhere. This is going to be cut. The money's already been awarded. It's in our bank. We own this. But what could happen next year is anyone's guess or gamble. I don't know the answer to that. But I would suggest any government program is at risk.
So that, Mr. Chairman, is my treasurer's report, and there is no further questions, so that is the treasurer's report.
Okay, can I have a motion to,
I'll make a motion to accept the treasurer's report.
I'll second that.
very good. Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? So voted. Okay, thank you, everyone. Thank you, Terry, for that good report.
You're most awesome, and again, I appreciate all the time, effort, and energy you put in to making sure that the numbers we present are comprehensive and correct. They're not always correct, that's why I say that, because I use a lot of formulas and things like that. The beautiful thing about this is it ties out, and Terry takes the time to look at that and make sure that what we get is the best information. I also just want to say, once again, as a board, we receive probably the most complex and detailed financial reports of any board in the city, maybe with the exception of the school committee, the city council. Everybody else, they're just generating from units. We give a lot of detail, probably more than we need to, but I think it's always better to be able to make decisions from an informed position than others. That being said, I just want to let you know, as it relates to the financial report, there's some correspondence in your file you should just forget about. That second page on the agenda. I am not going to put forth that request today. However, I am going to, under new business, there is a transactional discussion we need to have with regard to the treasurer's report. If that's it for the finances, though, you ready for an update, Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Not much to update. So there, the doors were ordered, the contractor ordered, the doors were ordered for the two-story senior center side of the Waterford Community Center. New concrete was starting to be poured and poured last week, so it'll be interesting to see where they are in that process. Embarrassingly, I haven't been by to check on it and see, but I know that they were out there. I saw the first day they were out there working, forming and framing it, and I can't believe they're gonna wait until January to pour it,
Oh
so,
my God.
that's pretty much done. I think that's all the updates. There was a ribbon cutting for one of the tenants a week or two ago, so, you know, clearly there is momentum going to ensure that this facility is opened kind of in a timely manner. My best guess, and I'm letting you all know this, you know, if by the end of the year the work is done, we probably wouldn't be loving the idea of a midwinter move. It would not seem feasible. Plus, I always talk about November, December, and January being our busiest months. So January kicks off tax season for us as well. So January, February, March, through the first week of April, we're doing tax returns. We'll do 125 returns at a value of about $19,000 for area seniors. It would be very hard to transition during that and be able to keep those services open and available. So we're probably looking at sometime in mid-April. We can begin staging the move in mid-March, late March, early April, and then like a mid-April, late April move day. For the board, my really understanding feeling on this is we will probably have to be closed 2 full weeks just to get everything packed, have it moved. The move isn't going to take much. Literally, we can put on a dolly and move it ourselves in a day. Yeah. There'll be a fleet of trucks in and out of this building, I'm certain, between us and our neighbors upstairs as AC. And then we'll need some time to unpack it and get organized. I don't think we'll be 100% ready to go on opening day, but we should be in pretty good shape. Like I've said before, I'm really excited about it, hoping that that April does indeed fulfill its promise for us to be in a new location. I'll share this also with you, and I have to say this time and time again because it belays sometimes intelligence to, first of all, you know, we are burgeoning here. We are overwhelmingly crowded. And I never thought I'd be at a point of saying that, but we are. We need the space, we need to move badly. For those that have trepidation or are concerned about the move, I want to just put this perspective, and I think it's an important perspective for you to consider. There's been some speculation that there may be environmental hazards on the Waterford, and I'm going to say emphatically there are not. I've seen the reports, I've seen the environmental reports, I've walked through the building, I've been downstairs in the basement, and I've climbed through the classrooms on the second story. There are not these amazing environmental and other hazards that people like to claim there are. But I would also say this, after looking at these environmental reviews, I want to put some perspective in that most seniors, there are 11,000 senior centers being operated across this great and glorious country of ours that serve about 1.5 million seniors a day. Here at the Gardner Senior Center, we serve about 4,000 seniors a year, 650 seniors a week, and most of those seniors, not only here at the Gardner Senior Center, but throughout this great and glorious country of ours, spend about 3 hours a week at the Senior Center. That's a lot of hours. I tell you, that pales in comparison to the number of hours our staff and the staff in CAC spend here. We spend way more than 3 hours. And I just think that if people are listening and have a concern, I want you to know this. There's no way in heck I would agree, after reading the reports, and seeing any kind of red flag, would I agree to go in a building where I'm gonna spend 60 hours a week in there? It's safe. I'm not stupid. Some people may disagree. I would do that to myself, knowing the time I spend there. And I will probably be at the epicenter of where, you know, access to this supposedly bad place is, and I'm not concerned. So, for you members of the board, when you hear constituents talk about that, I want you to know and have the faith and confidence that these concerns have been looked at, and what you're hearing is a lot of political rhetoric and grandstanding. And quite honestly, it's embarrassing and it's shameful that folks would try to instill that fear in our population, knowing full well that it's not predicated on anything but a bias and a position for political gain. So that's my Waterford update. Mr. Chair?
Yeah, I was gonna ask a question on that. I went by about 2 weeks ago and I saw the new platform, whatever, for the
concrete ramp.
The ramp.
Yep.
And then I saw the rebars to the side of it, so that must be what you were talking about.
Yep.
Because the rebars are all landing, going over to the left side of the building, going towards the little
The
playground.
playground. Yep.
So that's all set there, but they haven't put concrete there. They only did the part where the front door is gonna be. The other thing you mentioned was the, hopefully they'll be done by the end of the year, whatever, with repairs. Does that include our painting, or are they gonna paint before we go there?
You know,
We need money for that.
Yeah, I certainly believe we will have the issue of painting resolved before we get in there in April. My hope is that it will be done in December. One of the conversations we've had is, all right, you know, we're trying to phase this in and really reduce the impact financially on the city, on the senior center, and the partners in that building. So how can we get in there today, make it a safe and attractive and comfortable and efficient building, but not spend the widow's fortune, right? So the idea here is to maybe phase it in. One of the things I spoke with the city council about in there is, does it make sense for us, for example, to go in and paint the hallways, leaving the lockers there, when at some point in time the lockers are gonna come out and then we're gonna have to repaint it? Wouldn't it make sense for us from a pragmatic perspective to take the lockers out and then paint it? And so, you know, I think in their eagerness to get us in there, that really wasn't on their radar. It's not because they weren't thinking of it, they were really trying to figure out ways to move this forward. But honestly, the response was very receptive. I think they're in agreement, and so now we're looking at, okay, what does that look like? What's it gonna take to get, for example, the lockers out of there? What do we do with them? What's the process? Do we declare them as surplus? Do we scrap metal them? What do we do with them? Because they're in mint condition. I mean, they are in mint condition for being as old as they are. There's really no reason to trash them unless we can't, you know, take them out without trashing them. But so I think people are in agreement with that. Does it make sense for us to redo the floors and then have the lockers taken out and have all that area under the floors not done? So, you know, they see that, they know that, yeah, it may take a little bit at the front end to do those things now, but it will save us money and time later. And, you know, that's absolutely been their mantra, and their philosophy is, you know, how do we make this all work today and not be stuck with a big bill later on?
Michael, I keep thinking, you know, if this timetable works, and that's great, the bulk of volunteers that we're gonna need, what is your estimation on that, and what areas can these volunteers serve?
About 17,000. No,
I mean, I for one want to help, obviously.
Yeah.
You know, but I'm thinking, well, what is this entailing, and how many people would be beneficial for us to have as volunteers?
So that, we are way premature for that conversation, but I will say this, that over the course of the last 2 years, in anticipation of moving to Waterford Street, we have deliberately started to create systems where things are very transportable. Everything's been kind of bucketized now and, you know, boxed, so it's really just a matter of moving boxes. There will be some unique situations where we want to move things and not have the movers move them. Technology, we're gonna move that stuff. TVs, we're moving that stuff. Our production car, we're moving that stuff. The hydroponic gardens, we'll move that stuff. There's not a ton of stuff that we really feel, after speaking with the staff, that we really feel obligated or the need to move ourselves. But it's gonna take some staff, it's gonna take some volunteers, some coordination. We're gonna start looking at that when the timeline becomes more apparent. What does it, really entail? But we have talked about the staging, like what does that look like? How do we get things ready for the movers? So we'll stage things in this room, that's why we have to close down downstairs, that's why we have to close down, get it ready, and then they'll just haul it away. With labels and identifiers on where things are going, so then we can, when we get down there, use the same cadre of volunteers to dismember that moving, event and start to put things away and start making it, usable space and not boxes in the middle. Kind of like you do when you move your house and boxes sit there for 14 years. I really hope that doesn't happen when we move to Waterford Street. When we're able to. But we've been really good at organizing volunteers. When we declared the Waterford cleanup days, we had 3 days of 25 volunteers. I mean, it didn't take us anything. We said, hey, come on down, sweep floors, wash windows, scrape, paint, and they just showed up and did it for 3.5 hours, which was really cool. So I don't think we're going to have a huge issue in that regard. People are very generous in this community, and we've been one of the recipients of that generosity.
Okay. Anybody have any other questions?
What's on your mind? Anything?
Oh, stop.
The largest room on that first floor space will be my office. It's like 40 by 40.
He's got a big desk. He's got a big desk over there.
That's what I was thinking, I was gonna ask, is my book on?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Where are the main offices gonna be, like yours and Nancy's? Will they be on the first floor, like right near the door?
Yep.
Like, yeah.
Yep. So the administrative staff, the primary administrative staff office will be the second, well, it'll be the primary, the first classroom as you come in from the main entrance, or from the gymnasium, or from the side. If you're coming in from the, from the cafeteria into the gymnasium, that'll be the main office. My office is on the second floor, way in the back. Actually, everything is proposed right now, so my office would be in that same kind of space complex. If you've been into Gardner City Hall, been to the city clerk's office, they have a very large space, open space that they put a countertop in. That's our vision for the administrative office. We had talked about putting a service window in. We don't need a service window if we can do the service counter, and just use that wall to put all of our brochures and things like that. It'll be really cool. So I'm excited about that. The bullpen. We're gonna call it the bullpen. Yep.
Good. Okay, baseball terminology there. Okay. I guess now we're gonna go to new business. We have Mr. Ellis's director's report.
All right, I'll try to just kind of give you the 10,000-mile summary. First of all, I want to thank all of our holiday program sponsors, the businesses that help support our holiday event. It's a big event. For those of you who don't know, on Thanksgiving, we serve on Thanksgiving Day. We'll do about 225 drive-through meals. Last year, we did about 225 drive-through meals. 120 people ate in the Elks Lodge. We did about 40 volunteers, and then we brought trays of food to police, fire, and Woods Ambulance. It's a big day. It's a very volunteer-intensive day. One set of volunteers in particular for Thanksgiving I want to make sure that you know and hear about, and that's the Gardner Elks. They have been enormously generous to the Gardner Senior Center community for years and have co-sponsored, have been our partners in the holiday meal. Since I first moved to Gardner 38 years ago, we were delivering meals to the Gardner Senior Center at the Elks. They're just such great people, and all of the members of the Elks are fabulous. They have volunteers probably all week, about 20 volunteers that start on Monday before Thanksgiving. peeling potatoes, cutting squash, doing all of the preparation. They cook 28, 25-pound turkeys, over 750 pounds of meat. It's just an enormous undertaking with a lot of volunteers, and when you go in, there's music playing, people are happy, you don't see grouchy people, they're really caught up in this atmosphere of service. And so to the Gardner Elks Club, I want to give a huge shout out. But similarly, there are, I don't know, probably 3 or 4 dozen other organizations and businesses, from the Lions Club, AARP, Rotary Club, District Attorney Joe Early's office, ACT Fastening Solutions, that provide us the financial support to help offset the cost of the meals. Now, we always had a very large deficit for this program, and now we're running a very small deficit because, I mean, very small. That also allows us, by the way, not only to buy the food, and we'll do about $3,500 to $4,000 worth of food and paper products for Christmas and Thanksgiving. We just ordered a ton of takeout containers, so those are ready to go. And there are other costs that people don't know and understand besides turkey and squash. The cutlery, for example, and bags and salad dressing, all of those kind of things go into making this meal, you know, I think pretty impactful, especially for a community who may not have family or friends to visit during the holidays. So on Thanksgiving, the message I want to give out to anybody who's watching this is please join us. Join us at the Elks. I mean, picking up a meal is still nice to have a hot meal, freshly prepared, homemade, delicious, certainly filling, but what's more filling is that nourishment of spirit we get from our friends and neighbors and associates that we're able to enjoy a Thanksgiving meal with, and it's been pretty cool. For those of you who didn't know, a couple of years ago, we also hosted migrant families for their first Thanksgiving, which was kind of cool, it was neat. I thought one of the funniest things somebody asked me though was, Mike, are we going to serve a culturally competent meal for the Haitian community? And I said, culturally competent, you understand, it's American Thanksgiving, they don't celebrate Thanksgiving everywhere in the world, so they went, oh yeah, that makes sense. But it really was neat to see that community come together, and into the experience that you really don't know. So if you have the time and inclination as a volunteer, come and join us. We'll put you to work, and we have a ton of volunteers, so it won't be hard work, I promise, and you'll enjoy it. If you're looking for a meal, come and eat with us on Thanksgiving Day. Similarly, on Christmas, we do a drive-thru meal on December 22nd, I believe, it's Monday. The drive-thru meal will be at 12 o'clock, and that meal, we do 28, 25-pound turkeys. Anybody want to guess who makes them? Yep, you're right, the Elks Club cooks those for us as well. They cook the entire Thanksgiving meal, but for Christmas, they only do the turkeys. And the rest of the stuff is prepared by our neighbors and friends. People like Hayward Wakefield Commons, that does the single best stuffing we've ever had in my life. Williams with squash, Gardner Ale House with salads, Baldwinville Nursing Home with cranberry sauce and rolls.
Pub 99 with their mashed potatoes.
Pub 99 with the garlic mashed potatoes, the 99 restaurant. So just some really cool ways to minimize the financial impact on any particular organization and really make this what it was embodied to be, and that's the community event for our greater Gardner area. How do you get in on those meals? If you want to have a meal on either Christmas or Thanksgiving, call us. You have to reserve, you have to be registered, you have to be on the list. And it's disheartening sometimes to have to turn people away because you don't know if they have enough food. And at the end of the day, maybe realizing, oh, good thing we turned them away, or realizing, yeah, we have enough food. You can absolutely save us that heartache and yourself that heartache by just simply calling the Gardner Senior Center and registering for those meals. We have a whole bunch of concerts coming up. Dennis Cormier's coming up on November 5th. We have the Kelly School of Music on December 3rd. On December 8th, we have the sing-along, the Christmas sing-along. Those programs and more coming up this Thursday, November 6th. Mark Kistler. Mark is an Emmy Award-winning artist. He had a program on PBS. He's world-renowned. Came to Gardner a few months ago, graced us with his skill and gave a little class. He's coming again this coming Thursday. He called us, said, I'll be in the area, we'd love to stop by again and do another follow-up class. So we're really excited about that. A little bit late notice on our part to our community, but None of that would be possible, by the way, without the support of the Mass Cultural Council, who we are indebted to immensely for their continued support of the Gardner Senior Center and the many cultural programs we do, from art to music, crafts. We had the Boston Tea Party Museum, Harvey Leonard, in part they were able to support those programs. So they, Harvey Leonard, we had over 150 people in this room. You look around, you say, how is it possible? We realized we can probably easily sit 200 people comfortably, which blew me away, which was really nice. And then a week later, we had about 140 people for Boston Tea Party Museum interpreters who did an exceptional job, back to back. I don't know how, by the way, we're going to top those. So it's pretty good. So far, Mark Gearin, General Smith, just some really cool things. So when we do get to the new space, the Secretary of Executive Office of Aging and Independence has asked to be invited to the grand opening, which of course we will make sure they are. Coming up we have 16 people going to Mohegan Sun for the Christmas celebration, 18 going to the Nutcracker. We have 80 people going to the Boston Pops. We'll be taking 8 passenger vans, but we're going to do 10 trips. We're leaving starting at 8 o'clock in the morning. We have Medicare programs. This is open enrollment. For those of you who don't know, we do between 1,000 and 1,200 Medicare appointments all year. This is the biggest time of the year. We have Medicare advisors here on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. 4 days a week, and all of those appointments are filled through the middle of December. 100% filled. Like, we have no opportunity to, well, that's not true, because sometimes our advisors will say, you have to go in the late afternoon. As long as I'm willing to stay, they're willing to stay for the real problem children. We save those for those that are really in, a pickle. We have a Medicare program tonight. We have a Medicare program tomorrow. Special, walk-in, community-wide programs. Just about information. We have a Medicare program next Monday night. Just again, to provide people access to information and resources as they approach age 65 or are 65 and need some additional information because they are now eligible for Medicare. We're closing on Veterans Day. For those of you who don't know, we're closed on November 26th at 11:30. That's the Wednesday before Thanksgiving. Our staff will still be working that day. We'll work all day on Thanksgiving. We'll work the Friday after. I tell you that because it's important for you as a board to know and understand why then do we close at different times. We'll be taking some additional days off during the Christmas holiday to pay our staff for the time they spent at a holiday. And of course, we're government, so holiday time is booked at double time. Every hour they work, they have to work a minimum of 3. You pay them twice their rate. The day after Friday is a holiday on the books in Gardner. We pay them twice the rate. We make that time up during the Christmas break. Frauds and scams, GFA, November 17th. Pretty important as we continue to see seniors getting slammed with big dollar hits from frauds and scams. So we're not talking trivial amounts, 100, 200. We're talking tens of thousands, even in the hundreds of thousands of dollar range. So continuing to press information out in the hands of our seniors is super important. Golden Age Club in November, the speaker is Senator Durant. The speaker for AARP in November is Don Landry. He's a caricature artist, and he'll be doing some caricatures and talking about his experience with that. For those of you who don't have the book, everybody take out your pen right now. I want to see pens in your hands. Write this date down, November 15th. It is a super important date, probably the most important date all year.
Yeah.
Isn't that the CAC food pantry, food raffle?
No, the 21st.
Darn, never mind. So, well, the 15th is still the most important date. I thought it was the 15th. No, 21st. I don't know if I'm available on the 24th.
Oh, come on.
The 21st, write that down. And please let your friends know, November 21.
What time?
It wasn't, it's the 20, I thought it was the 15th. She changed the date on me. 7 p.m. Yes, that's the CAC meat raffle. And we really try to have a big presence there to show the support that the CAC gives to our seniors, and similarly that our seniors are able to give to the CAC. So please be there, November. The Club at Quéguéron. Yeah, you'll have to speak French.
Here or?
The Canadian Club, November 21st, Paul.
Paul,
November
I'm confused. Is it November 20th or the 21st?
21st, Paul, November 21, 7 PM at the Acadian Club. Anybody out there want to say it again? CAC meat raffle, November 21st, 7 PM at the Acadian Club.
Thank you all.
And it's a Friday night.
December 8th, we have the holiday sing-along. December 15th, we have our holiday party. We will cap out on that party. We usually do about 130 people at the holiday party. The Terrifics are coming back. They're our four-piece band. They just do a great job, and the seniors love them, and we're excited to have them. On December 17th, another really important date, we have the Red Cross Save a Life for Christmas program, all about smoke detectors and CO2 detectors. So please, ladies and gentlemen, promote the heck out of that. And if you're watching and listening and you don't have active working smoke detectors in your house, come to that program. We can schedule you for an install for our seniors. And there's some really cool stats coming out in our report, which talks about the impact of our partnership with the American Red Cross and the Gardner Fire Department in their senior fire safety program, immense impact. And so to our friends at Red Cross and to my peers and beloved comrades at the Gardner Fire Department, thank you for all you do to support this program. That's kind of the nitty-gritty of programs, but now I want to share some information with you. I'd like to tell you some tidbits of information, kind of be a little braggadocious about where we are. Last year I told you we had about 4,000 in FY24. Not about, we had over 4,000 unique individuals we served with about an average 650 people per week. Now 24 was a really unique year. We were still doing COVID clinics, we were working with migrant families, there were a lot of like really interesting and big programs. And that year we logged 960 volunteers and did 16,000 hours of work, and we think, holy cow, that's a lot. This year we had less volunteers, and right now, and we're just finalizing the numbers now, but we look like to be about 750 volunteers, down from the 950, so 200 less, and that makes sense when you think of the literacy volunteers that helped with the English as a second language courses and the meal volunteers we had and the COVID volunteers. Makes sense. That 750 volunteers, less than 750 right now, have done about 20,537 hours of volunteer work. At minimum wage, $15, that has a value of about $305,000. That report is not finalized. The staff is sitting down, just going over the last of the numbers. Last year, we had 17 contractors. Those are the vendor contractors, like instructors for our exercise programs, our craft programs. We had 18 instructors, 17 contractors. Contractors are those other folks we pay to come in and do things like restaurants and things like that. They have a contract with us. We had 16 support group facilitators last year. Holy schmoly. Between our mindful meditation, grief, dementia, men's group, women's group, LGBTQI support group, our veterans group, and our weight management group, that's a pretty significant number of people. We had 7 volunteers who work in our office. Currently today, we have 7. They've stayed on, nobody's left us. We have 2 people who have consistently volunteered to do facilities, and I think you've seen them kind of hop around. At least one of them is remarkable. We had over $250,000 of in-kind or actual donations. So that was including things like the grand piano that's sitting at Waterford right now. Trying to think of some other, Sterilite in 24 was a great example. They gave us thousands of dollars of plastic containers that helped prepare us for the move. So very thankful to Sterilite. And their continued generosity, by the way. Every couple of years we reach out to them and say, hey, we need some new baskets for bread to pick up our food items, and they send us, and we say, I think we're always conservative. Can we get 10 or 15? And they send us 40. They're just very kind people who understand the impact that they can have on a small community center like ours. So very, very appreciative. And we had almost 50 company reps here. Company reps that do like information stuff, set up a table, Blue Cross Blue Shield. We had heart-to-home meals here last week during one of our programs. We have, a person who does foot products, just any of those vendors that come in and give information. So, we're doing a lot, and now what we're trying to do is figure out ways for people to ride on the coattails of programs that exist rather than doing standalone, so they get more bang for their buck, and I think they're pretty appreciative of that. So, I guess my final message is this, just to say thank you to all of the remarkably kind and generous organizations and agencies that help support and drive the programs here at the center, to the enormous numbers of volunteers who come in selflessly and serving ways our community here at the Gardner Senior Center, and do like anything you ask them to do. It's pretty cool. If you haven't seen it, by the way, our pilgrim is set up out in the hallway, done by volunteers. It looks, and people say, what's the significance? Every person that walks into the center and sees the new costuming makes a comment. Everyone, whoa, look at who it is today, and that has an impact, right? It's inviting, it's welcoming, it's fun, and it's frivolous. With that, Mr. Chair, if there are no questions, any questions on my report? I do have an item of business. So we get some funds from organizations to help support the programs and the overall services we provide. And right now we have a little bit of funding that allows us to be a little bit more conservative on how we use and where we put that money. And so we've been trying to drive a lot of that into the gift account. There's about $2,300 of money, though, that was given for programs that I'd like to take back out of the gift account and put into the program account. It'll support things like our holiday party, and I just want to make sure you know. Now, technically, we could do that with just a paper trail with the city auditor saying this is program money, got put into the gift account. Either way, it's fine and appropriate, but I'd like to get, if I could, your input on moving that $2,300 back. That includes about $525 from CMARC. CMARC is the company that does our bin, our clothing bin. That money, instead of going into programs, we're putting it into the gift account. I want to take that back out. We had a $150 donation from Tops for the holiday party that was put in the gift account inappropriately. The Knowlton Foundation donation, GFA for selling $150 went in, and then some AARP reimbursement money. So that came out to $2342.77. And with your consideration, I'd just like to get a position from you as a board as to whether or not it's okay for me to make that transfer out of the gift account back into the revolving fund for that money.
I'd like to make a motion that we allow the director to transfer $2,500 from the gift account to the revolving fund, so it can be used, because all our motions have to be from the gift fund need to be voted on, so that's why we just need one. Do you think 25, or do you think should we take a little more out so you don't have to come back again?
No, I think that's fine. If we need to come back, we'll just do another vote back then.
So I make that motion that we allow the director to transfer $2,500 from the gift account to the revolving account so that he can use it as needed.
I'll start.
So motion is made by Terry Hillman to have the money transferred from one account to the revolving, and we had a vote.
Seconded by Paul.
And seconded by Paul, and we're all set with that.
Okay.
So,
No, you have to ask the vote.
yes, but we still got to do a vote. Is anybody in favor of the transaction?
Yeah.
Any opposed to it?
Yeah.
Okay, we're all done. It's all been voted.
Beautiful. Open discussion.
And now we're going to have time for open discussion.
I have just a couple of quick things. Don't look at me like that. A couple of things that happened. The Lions Club did the craft fair earlier last month.
They did.
They did, from what I saw, they did a remarkable job. The turn was very good. I have no complaints at all. I cleaned house. I walked away a happy vendor. And thanks to some people here, thank you for purchasing some of my baskets. I appreciate that.
They're beautiful.
Well, my chihuahuas need to get fed. Anyways, they did a great job, and what I got from that craft fair was I met so many people that came to the craft fair, and I mean a lot, that was their first time here. So word got out somehow, and I don't know what you did on your end to promote it, but it was like, oh, I didn't know you had a senior center, or, you know, it was like, "Dude, this is great, you know, it's like very favorable, and so that was good to see for us.
Just to kind of comment on that, what did we do? So we like to support those organizations that support us and give back. And how did we do that? We opened a facility for them. That was on a Saturday. Staff had to be here all day. Any other staff member, we'd have to pay overtime. So I think Dan was here. We put in huge advertisements for 3 months in our newsletters, not only as an excerpt or story, but as a attachment, electronic. And then I talk about him all the time. I benefit immensely from the relationships and the work commitment and dedication by so many city employees. And I could really, literally, I can't name any that when asked don't do not only what I've asked, but much more. Doug Monroe from Lines and Signs is that guy. So, a month before the craft fair, he created, I gave him the art and the graphics, and he printed the boards and then distributed them all across the city. So we had 6 poster boards on sandwich board signs for 6 weeks before that craft fair because of the commitment by the city. And I think, by the way, I talk about Doug all the time, but he wouldn't have that availability, and DPW wouldn't have that luxury, but for the vision of the mayor and the city council to continue to give them that, and they see the benefit. So that it trickles down from the top, and I'm so appreciative. So and they give back to us in a big way.
The only complaint I heard from the new people that showed up was like, boy, you could use parking around here.
Yeah. So you know what we did, Paul?
What?
I mean, you were a vendor, so you know.
Yeah.
But the board doesn't. There were 40 vendors here that day. And at 7:30, we opened the doors for them to come in. The craft fair started at 9. At 8:30, Woods rolled up with a van, and they drove their cars from our parking lot to City Hall and parked their cars all day and were driven back by Woods. Woods came back at 1:30, 2 o'clock, picked them all up, brought them to their cars at City Hall parking lot. Because if we didn't have that remote parking, there would have not been a single space for anybody coming to the vendor fair.
Not only that, but the volunteers that you had, in my particular case, helped me because 3 days prior to the craft fair, I cracked a rib. So I couldn't do anything heavy, and they brought all my stuff in, that helped me set up. I was like, great.
We're all Lions Club.
They were terrific, so
Yeah.
kudos to you guys in the Lions Club, you did a great job. The other thing was the recent thing that we did with the Haywood with the Harvest Festival, and we handed out a lot of egg sandwiches. I was the official English muffin
Egg
slicer. Yeah, that wasn't the egg beater, I was the slicer. But what was remarkable again was the turnout for that, for the race and so forth. And people, again, were either knew about us or didn't know about us. And so I felt good about promoting the senior center, so I started handing out air fresheners, the car fresheners, and I didn't know.
They're wicked popular.
They are.
Yeah.
They're very, very popular. They smell good. I have one in my car.
And that, again, it's an interesting dynamic. There's really no other city department that has to advertise, right? So people pay their tax bill. Their advertisement is the bill they get from an NCS. The Board of Health, right? They don't have to advertise. But our whole concept, the whole model is based on utilization. How do you get people in? You have to spread the word. So being at the Healthy Harvest 5K was important for us to have a presence and just allow people to know. And similarly, we're at National Night Out. We're at National Night Out in Gardner and in Ashburn. You probably didn't know that, but the Gardner Senior Center sets up a table in Ashburn. All ships float in a rising tide. So if I can get information about the Gardner Senior Center into somebody's hand in Ashburn, they're going to go to the Ashburn Senior Center. That makes sense.
Look, I was immediately, I'm always impressed by you, but I was very impressed by you and Lisa and Ron and myself, and we worked together great as a team, and I want to thank you for letting me have that opportunity to help you out that day.
You see what you missed? Do you see what you missed?
That was great.
It's a lot of
It was
fun.
good.
Thankfully, it wasn't raining.
Yes.
It's not so much fun in the rain,
No,
but it was a beautiful
did
day.
you do that last Thanksgiving?
Yes. Yeah, thank you for that, Paul. Thank you for bringing those two
I'm
things up.
sure you and Lisa slept very well that night.
We
Yeah.
we rolled from one event to the next. That was our whole day. But I think it's working. And what I would say to you all is, I think you have a job and a role to play in that as well, in getting the word out. So please, be an ambassador when you can, and always invited to help do like sandwiches or hamburgers and hot dogs when we do those at the National Night Out. We did 1,100 pieces at National Night Out, Gardner. 1,100 hot dogs and hamburgers. We did about 700 in Ashburnham. That's a huge lift by a lot of great people. What else you got?
I just wanted to go on with more what Paul said, when we had the Lions Club and a lot of people came in and they didn't know what we were here, what we do, and,
You saw it too.
well, yeah, but the thing was that after, Michael mentioned we were gonna have the Lions Club, it was after Labor Day sometime, and I got hold of him in the office, and said, would you mind if we set up a table for promoting AARP, Golden Age Club, and the program, and we had a table set up, and we had quite a few people. I got about 15 people that took applications for AARP. So I told them to come back in 2 weeks. I told them what it was, so they're coming back with their applications, which hopefully will work out well. And we did the same to Golden Age Club, so they got people who got those applications also. Not as
We've
many.
seen it. Yeah, your presence.
And then
excellent.
we're promoting with our newsletter. I had the newsletters out there. Nancy came up and helped me. I was going to ask somebody else. Brenda was going to help me, but she had an appointment, so she couldn't do it.
Yes, I wanted the other activity that was going on.
So so I got hold of Nancy and I asked her, I said, would you mind helping me? And Nancy said yes. And she said, I'm only going to come home for about an hour or so. She stayed till the end. She had so much fun, she stayed to the end.
Don't hear me. I sat with Ron, but he was the one that was like the salesperson. You heard about the
You was a
AARP?
pretty face.
Of course I was.
I know that.
But he did
That's
a
yeah.
great job, and it was a wonderful thing.
But I didn't know how it would work. I didn't want to be infringing on somebody else's activity, which was the Lions Club, That's why I asked, what he thought. He said, no, go right ahead and do it, so.
You were handing out newsletters.
Newsletters,
as well.
AARP.
And these people who had never been here before going, oh my God, you do all this in this building?
Yeah.
They quickly, because of the size of the building, that's like what you had mentioned earlier, that we got crowded.
And then the other thing is, we didn't only use this floor, we had to go downstairs.
I know.
We
Yeah.
had these both places, they ran out of room up here.
No, it's good, it's a good day.
Yes.
I was wondering if Julie can speak a little bit about SNAP. We hear all on the TV and everything, and I was wondering if you would be willing to say anything, and how it's going to impact us, or?
So it's still really tough to
I'm
say.
thinking Ron.
This is on.
Just off something, sorry. So the last that we heard is that they did approve partial payment for SNAP benefits in November, but there still will be a delay. Upstairs, we are seeing record numbers. We did our October numbers, and it was 1,300 people that we served in October. So there will be a delay in SNAP benefits from what I understand, and when they do come through, it is a reduced amount. Okay, go ahead.
I have an EBT card, and for the last few weeks, it says nothing. If you go to the website, it says your next payment is going to be such dollar amount on such a day. Nothing until I came here before the meeting. It came on, then I'm going to get my monthly payment, and it's the full payment that I'm getting.
Nice.
That's fantastic. Everything that we've heard is that it's a reduced amount, so that's wonderful.
Yeah, my day's the 14th of the month.
Yeah, it was approved this morning, it was on the news this morning, it
Yeah.
was approved early this morning.
So that's hopefully, but he's doing it only for November.
I think the issue with SNAP though is real. For the senior center, it's real. We enrolled 54 seniors in SNAP HIP to the tune of $134,000 last year. You think what $134,000 does in our local economy? Those are just seniors. It's a vital program. Again, to me, it's a theme that we've been talking about, eliminating SNAP and HIP. And to go to Julie's point, we can see the utilization upstairs. This morning, the line went into the big room. I mean, it went down the hall. And that is indicative of, maybe a bigger issue for us all to be thinking about is how do we better support organizations like the CAC to support seniors at the COA in better and bigger ways. And one of the ways we do that is to be together. And I've said this countless times, I'm so glad you're at the table with us because we conspire so often. And it works, and I hope you hear, as much as I like to think you do, how very appreciative I am of you and your staff and the programs you provide.
Thank you, we're happy to be there, and one of the things too that I think people forget about SNAP, a broader picture is that so many seniors and children are on SNAP. We had a 78-year-old individual call us to see if we were hiring, if we knew somebody, because they weren't sure how they were gonna provide food for themselves.
Yep.
So
It's not this morning. There's at least out this morning at the senior center. People don't have a place to go. It's like, what do we do?
Yeah, it's bad, and just to go back to Ken's point about like the federal cuts, so Medicaid is being cut. So Medicaid provides the senior buy-in, the low-income subsidy for seniors to the tune of over $1.1 million in the Gardner area. 1.1 million, 430 seniors in 2025 received the senior buy-in benefit, which eliminated the Part B premium of $187 plus. The low-income subsidy, the impact, $227 eliminated from the medics plans. The high-cost drug premium that they were required, copay they were required to pay waived. That had a value of about $86,000. I mean, that's real money. When you think about just Gardner, we're talking 1.3 million bucks. I'm sorry, when we're talking just the Gardner Senior Center, how many folks enrolled in senior buy-in, say, at places like Haywood Wakefield or Gardner Housing Authority that never came through our doors? So that number we know is substantially higher than 430. Ladies and gentlemen, the reality is that these cuts are going to impact our community. And when they do, I think it's going to be pretty substantial. I won't go on too much about it, but I just want to say thank you for your question about SNAP because it's so unbelievably appropriate for the constituents we serve and more. And by the way, if grandmas, or even worse, if their son or daughter's benefits are being reduced, who's taking the hit on the chin for that? Their parents, their grandparents. So everybody's belt is being tightened in this kind of crazy haphazard approach to government spending.
Any other discussions? Okay. Our next scheduled meeting will be on Monday, December the 1st at 2 p.m. So we're all set there. And now can I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
Second, okay. All in favor?
Hi.
Any opposed? Okay, we're closed for today. Thank you for coming.
For 2025,
Wait, one more.
they had a
Yeah, but not, so is. You can always-
Oh my God.